Hey, what's up, everybody? Make sure we're live here. I just walked into the house and I was hearing about this shooting situation. 2 cops shot by a synagogue, reportedly. There's no audio to the clips that it's playing right now, but I'm getting it situated. Excuse me. I said by a synagogue. Look at, you see all the some. Also, I saw in New York that they were saying there was another potential bomb threat or something. What the heck is going on? Is that Iran? No audio here. Oh, they cut it off. Bro. I have one on the ground then, but they cut off the air feed just now. Tactical rescue? What the hell is this? Oh, this is the trench collapse that I saw about this too. Trench collapse? Got to get this a little bit out of the way. So there's kind of two things happening. I heard about that too, Stews. Shots fired at the U.S. consulate in Canada. Is this the sleeper cells? Is this the sleeper cells in action? I can't even keep up. I got bombarded as soon as I walked in. Let me see what they say here live from Fox. I got some audio.
I'm Stephanie Quinu, and we are following breaking news out of Baltimore, Maryland, where there's an active shooter situation. We now have some live looks that we want to get to. This one is a little bit shaky, but I did want to share it. I'm Stephanie Quinu, and we are following breaking news out of Baltimore, Maryland, where there's an active shooter situation. We now have some live looks that we want to get to. This one is a little bit shaky, but I did want to share it with you as the photographer is on the move. This is specifically in the 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue. And it does look like we perhaps have another live look right here. I'm just working to confirm that, yes. Okay, so we have another look right here. This is a more stable shot right here. So we're going to transition to this. You can see a very active situation here on the ground as several law enforcement patrol cars are there on the street. So this is the 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue, where this active shooter incident is underway. According to Baltimore police, the very latest is that an officer has been shot and transported to shock trauma. A suspect, they say, was also shot. So they're asking everyone to avoid these surrounding areas. It does look like this is as close to the scene as police are allowing people. As you can imagine, safety is paramount, and that is why they're not allowing the media to go right up to this scene, as they're asking everyone to avoid these particular areas. And you can see that the police have blocked off some of these roads right here, and more arriving with their lights on as they are responding to this breaking news of an active shooter incident in the 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue. The very latest, if you're just joining us at this hour right here on Live Now from Fox, is that a police officer has been shot, transported to shock trauma. That's according to Baltimore police. And they say a suspect was also shot. We continue to see ramped up police presence here as these vehicles are driving down the street with their lights on, and the photographer once again panning an unmarked vehicle now also arriving at the scene. What we did was this: the Baltimore police publicly has shared this address, which is 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue. We entered that into the computer, and what came back was a local synagogue at this area.
Wow.
Baltimore police have yet to release additional information, but we do know that a suspect has been shot as well as a police officer. At this point in time, we do not have the conditions of the police officer or the suspect. We also don't have any identification or information, any details in terms of what may have led to this shooting. What I'm going to do is this: as we like to give you the live sights and sounds, we're going to raise the audio of this live feed. So you can hear the ambient noise right there from this particular intersection, which is near the investigation area. I also wanted to bring you this live look. Now, it's a little bit shaky, but we like to bring you all different angles. The photographer for this particular shot is walking on foot closer to the scene. This just gives you a different perspective from this very same active shooter situation right here. It looks like they're about to go on the sidewalk, but you can see even more emergency vehicles here. We see that there is a fire truck. We also see some of that crime scene tape as the photographer has set up the camera on the ground, giving you a different perspective. You know, the different buildings in this neighborhood right here, and we do see a lot of police vehicles. We also see what looks like perhaps a residential area, at least from the standpoint of where the photographer is sitting. It looks like these are homes here in the area. We do see that fire truck that says the city of Baltimore as the camera is currently setting up. And you can actually see some of these armored vehicles lined up. This is Pinckney Road right there in Baltimore. Wanted to make sure that we had that correctly. But this does look like what appears to be a residential neighborhood. You can see the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. So it does look like maybe some of these smaller roads right here, as we see a very heavy law enforcement presence here at Pinckney Road. The actual situation itself was in another particular area, and that was Park Heights Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland. So this looks like it's adjacent to that scene. Police are asking everyone to avoid these surrounding areas. So this appears to be as close to the scene as police are allowing the media. You saw that yellow crime scene tape right there. So there is a perimeter, as we do see very heavy police presence. And this armored vehicle right here, you can see some of those masts raised. That is to allow for better communication signals right there. It looks like perhaps this particular live look has frozen, but we do have this other angle right here. This is in a different vicinity as police continue to block off some of the roads as they're asking people to avoid these surrounding areas. So we do see that, police have stationed themselves in this particular intersection. A number of cars. We've also seen a lot of vehicles, both marked and unmarked, driving, responding to this breaking news scene. So we did want to bring that to you. This is from our Fox Baltimore team right here, also sharing that breaking news that an officer has been shot and transported to shock trauma while the Baltimore Police Department is on the scene of an active shooter incident. And we did want to share that very latest with you. Now, we have been keeping a very close eye on the Baltimore Police social media platforms As of now, they have not indicated as to when they may be providing
supposed to have a
new information.
staging.
Oftentimes, there might be a briefing at the scene, but this is the initial social media alert that they sent out moments ago. And if you're just joining us here on Live Now from Fox, I did want to read that to you. It says BPD is on the scene of an active shooter incident in the 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue. An officer has been shot and transported to shock trauma. The suspect was also shot, and they're asking people avoid the surrounding areas. More information will be provided as it becomes available. They also provided a photograph of that particular area. That was this intersection that we actually had some live video of, and that's the intersection that Baltimore police has used as a photo from this scene. That
what
live
the hell,
has
bro,
since
guys?
come down.
There's so much shit happening at the same time. I can't even keep up. Look at this shit. Another suspicious package. Okay, I can't even keep track. I don't know what to put on the screen. Okay, let's look at Gracie Mansion. Isn't this where this guy lives? Holy fuck.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Dan.
I can't even keep up. There's a suspicious package in New York. Is this Iran?
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Dan.
There's too much going on. I'm gonna have to give me a second to try to get this all on the screen. Okay. So we have two situations going on. Damn, horrible timing for me. Bomb squad, dude, this is crazy. I know, I heard about the NBC too. Jeez. Is this Iran? Okay, just give me a second, guys. I'm updating the title. I'm gonna try to. I wonder what this camera person's thinking. Like a crackhead swerving that camera all over the place. What? What are you doing? Okay. So there's two incidents. Active shooter situation that I believe is probably under control now. It was an active shooter. 2 cops were shot outside of a synagogue in Baltimore. And now New York, massive response to the Gracie Mansion. Suspicious package IED. Another bomb incident. Another bomb incident, guys.
That's what Dan said.
NYC Mansion. Yeah, this camera guy's a nut job. He didn't.
That's what Dan said. Looking out.
So they're asking if you can come 86. So they're asking if you can.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot going on. Horrible timing. Horrible timing for me, but.
Okay. All right, so try 86.
I would say try to get to 86th Street. That would be
They want you to go to 86th. Okay. You have a primary slot right now on the line. It's on the clock back. See? All right. Okay.
I would
Also, what's her name is talking right now?
get to 86th Street.
Let's get this code static update. Damn.
Hit the like button.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. Waiting to find out more information. Oh my god. Want to get it up on the screen. NY Bomb Squad in New York. Yeah, I heard about the Toronto embassy. I want to see if I can get this stuff labeled for you guys too. I literally walked in the door and walked into hell. Like, what is going on? Me. Let me do this. Crazy. This is happening right now live. This is not from yesterday. This is live right now, man. We're live in the moment. Excuse me. The Baltimore situation, let me go over that. It's on the bottom right hand side. The Baltimore today, there was an active shooter incident unfolded at 12:30 p.m. at the 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland, near Agudath Israel Baltimore Synagogue. Again, could this be the Iran sleeper cells we've talked about? 2 cops shot by this Israel of Baltimore Synagogue. A Baltimore police officer responded to reports of an armed individual. He was transported to the Maryland Shock Trauma Center. And then the Gracie Mansion bomb threat. Let's see. One second, let me get this here. Get this flash update. Shh. Okay. A lot of stuff going on. All at once. Are we under attack? Is America under attack? This flash. Boom, boom, boom. Let me update this. Okay. We're clearly under attack. They can't just startle the tax cattle. Under attack. Yeah, they've been talking about sleeper cells. You know, yesterday we talked about that they've activated some kind of sleeper cell thing, Iran. Now we have New York again. Third suspicious device found near Gracie Mansion. And now we have the synagogue shooting in Baltimore. The location. Everything's from the old stuff. Let's see if I can get new information about this Baltimore stuff. Wow, so with the Baltimore situation, officers reportedly responded to a potential hostage situation before shots were fired. I was reading about that too. There was some type of like hostage thing going on out there. Man, bro.
Hey, Emily, I've got you. Yes. Okay. Copy. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, she has it. We're going on camera.
Copy.
Are you guys gonna take her?
Yeah.
Copy that.
John, I got you. Yes.
Alright, if I can't get these guys to move, I gotta go right now. Mountain crew is on the bridge. Hey guys. I know the back of your head would look really good, but I don't even.
Massive response. Massive
Want me in front
response.
of the camera?
Is that what you wanted?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Nope.
I wish I was taller.
Is this Iran's payback?
I'm gonna move forward then. Heads up. I'm sorry, who are you looking for?
Is that a stretcher?
Yeah. Probably just protect. No one's talking to me. SWAT crews on the bridge? Anyone there? 22, right?
Yeah, the synagogue, they're targeting the Jewish people.
And the park again also evacuated. And I saw yellow tape going all the way to the water there. There's a park, and then beyond the park is like a promenade, a walkway, and then, of course, the East River. So they seem to be have cordoned off the whole area. And, of course, Mayor Mamdani is just right down the street, Gracie Mansion. He wasn't home at the time of the incident on Saturday.
Y'all heard about Jake Lang?
You know, and I do not think he's in residence now as we speak, because he had a number of events planned on his day. But there's just a lot of, you know, dog walkers and curious New Yorkers wondering why on this beautiful day they can't go to the park and can't do their normal activities.
I was about to ask you just about what you were observing amongst the people, you know, who are also standing there just trying to figure it out. If you saw their faces, if there was anxiety or, you know, nervousness.
Yeah. Most just want to know what's going on. And I'm sure, you know, like every other New Yorker, just, you know, can't believe that people behave so badly.
I get Sharon, before you go, because what we need to let everyone know is Sharon is due to work in like 14 minutes.
I am. I'm to anchor the news, unless you want me to anchor it from here at 4 o'clock. So I am going to go.
His allegations he was talking to a minor.
Go back into my apartment. But I think Linda Schmidt is here somewhere.
Oh, we've got.
I'm not sure.
So we've got team coverage with the Sharon. No, only if it's not going to jeopardize your safety. If you and the time, if you have to do that, we will certainly do that. But before you go, Sharon, I just want to ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot here. You, like I said,
Yeah.
you're a veteran. You know, you've covered breaking news and all of these sorts of things. Now that it's this close to your
gropers fake
you
the
know,
text?
how are you when you respond? Does Sharon the journalist kick in, or Sharon the New Yorker?
Sharon, the journalist, kicks in, of course. But, you know, Antoine, as you mentioned, I have lived in lots of cities and unfortunately faced a lot of these kind of threats before. What comes to mind is working in Atlanta, and there was a series of bombings, homemade explosive devices. Around
If you read the title
40
caption, it says near synagogue.
And they used to do this
The
thing
caption's
called
on
a
the top of the
gotcha
screen.
bomb, where they would explode it at the clinic, and then they would have a second bomb planted like at a dumpster like 300 feet away, and sometimes that's where the
Block
media
Trey
was
Gaming by.
stationed, and it would go off. And I've also covered the Boston Marathon bombings when they were searching for those suspects. And I'll just never forget the assignment editor, Jonathan Kasdan, calling me because we had a live feed going. And what was happening was the police officers kept changing the scenario and pushing the media back. And what they were doing was pushing us toward the two suspects that they were looking for. And all of a sudden we heard gunfire. And Jonathan called me and said, "Sharon, is that gunfire?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Can you get me closer?" And luckily my crew said no.
We have to let everyone know that, yeah, Jonathan Kasdan is our chief assignment editor, and yeah,
That's right.
that is absolutely something that he would say. Sharon, thank you for bringing us up to speed with your expertise and your close familiarity to that scene and situation. We want you to get to us safely because we want to see you here. We'll keep our eyes on this. If Linda Schmidt, who's also in that neighborhood, if we check in with Linda, we'll let Linda take over from there. But Sharon Crowley, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on this. We know that you have to also get ready to come to
I did
work,
hear
so
about
what we'll
the
do is
shooting in
Okay.
Canada.
we'll read
Embassy.
the tweet, Sharon, with the very latest on the NYPD, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes or so once you get in.
All right. Thanks so much, Antoine. Talk to you soon.
All right, so everybody, again, let's give you the official from the NYPD. And again, right there, that's the tweet right there. I'll read it for you. Due to a suspicious device, Eastern Avenue, between East 85th and East 87th Street, as well as East 86th Street between York and East End, are closed to vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Additionally, as you also heard Sharon say, Carl Schurz Park is also closed. So if you're wondering what's going on, again, the NYPD is looking into a suspicious device that was found. Given the proximity of events over the weekend, we do not know if they are connected, but again, just because of, like as Sharon said, and as we've been telling you, what happened outside of Gracie Mansion over the weekend, again, 2 teenagers taken into custody for allegedly throwing an IED into a protest crowd, certainly comes into the radar of why this area is right now still in the minds and in the view of the NYPD as they do what they do so well. We'll keep you up to speed on that. We're going to take a quick break and more Newsroom Live when we return.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. me see if I can find any more Baltimore. Baltimore thing seems like it was a barricade, potentially a hostage. They said 2 cops shot. Happened near a synagogue. Everybody's on high alert. Anything else I find on this? Baltimore. Got some other feeds here. Let's do this vehicle. That's New York. Baltimore. Maybe they'll do a press conference. Yeah, the New York situation, just a couple of days ago, those guys, those terrorists threw homemade bombs. It was in that area. Let me check for Baltimore updates. So a police officer and suspect were shot in Baltimore on Tuesday in what police described as an active shooter incident. The incident took place on the 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue, close to the Agudath Israel of Baltimore Synagogue shortly afternoon. The injured police officer was hospitalized.
Everybody, welcome back to Newsroom.
The suspect's identity and current condition
news from the
have not been revealed.
Manhattan, where police are looking into a suspicious package.
It was a barricaded situation at a residence. Aerial footage showed heavy police presence, armored cars, dozens of officers. This is again Baltimore. Mayor says shooting came after officers responded to a barricade. So there was a barricade situation happening too, and I was trying to look for that earlier and I couldn't find it. Jewish Security Organization. Jewish Security Organization says there's no indication Jewish community was targeted. The Secure Community Network, a Jewish security organization, said that the shooting appears to have been domestic in nature and not targeting Jewish people. And they're saying that it occurred near a Jewish facility in Baltimore. At this time, citing law enforcement, shooting was domestic. Okay.
Why the screen's taking a hit on that. But again, the NYPD investigating and arresting
Lord Almighty.
2 teenagers over the weekend. And this incident took place outside of Gracie Mansion. And the mayor and his wife were not home, but extremism was addressed by the mayor earlier today in a news conference. And as we keep our eye on this, we just want to play a little bit of what the mayor had to say when he took questions earlier today about that incident over the weekend.
It's the mayor.
No matter the attempts, I will never be ashamed of who I am.
Oh, that's the Baltimore thing there. Okay.
Faith. I'll never be ashamed of the things that make me me. And
Oh, we're talking about terrorism.
And I'll say, growing up in this city, one of the things that I loved most was the understanding that I was taught that difference of where we come from, of what faiths we belong to, if any, of what we believe, it is not a marker of separation. Rather, it is an
We're all the
invitation
same.
to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. We do need a city that has respect for every single New Yorker. And that's the city that I grew up in. That's the city that I love. I know that's a city that still exists. And I also think that oftentimes when we see these kinds of displays, they are not coming from New Yorkers. The protests that we're speaking about, we're talking about people who come from out of state with a vision of a city that does not match up to the one.
Make sure I don't have any extra sounds playing, which currently I do. There we go.
Security detail and ensure that I am safe, that my wife is safe, that we do not have to worry about our ability to go about our days. I do not have to worry about my ability to carry out the responsibility that I have to New Yorkers. And I'll say, Marsha, the thing that affects me more is not language that people use to describe me, but that it's language that they use to describe so many who call this city home. And even as in that protest, there is a vision of a city that does not leave room for more than 1 million Muslims who call this city their home, and it is a vision that I abhor, I also still do believe that those protesters have a right to protest. And that is part of what it means to be able to stand up for the laws of the city as well as the Constitution of our country.
Everybody issue.
And that was Mayor Mamdani taking questions about the incident over the weekend in which 2 teenagers were taken into custody for allegedly throwing an IED, improvised explosive device, into the crowd. So what's going on as we bring you up to speed? Again, right now, the NYPD is on scene on the Upper East Side, not far from Gracie Mansion, near Carl Schurz Park, where a suspicious device, according to the NYPD, was found. And this is what they're investigating. So you're looking at Sky Fox right now over the scene there. Now, we have not gotten any information that this investigation that you're looking at right now is connected to the one over the weekend that again involved 2 teenagers from Bucks County. So if that should be the case, we'll of course get that information from the NYPD and pass that along. But for right now, this is what's happening with that. In regards to the 2 teenagers that were taken into custody over the weekend, we also have an update there. Those 2 that were accused of throwing explosives during the weekend protest outside of the mansion, federal agents raided a self-storage facility in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, as part of the investigation from the incident last weekend, in which they say that they found explosive materials inside that facility and detonated them in a safe and controlled manner. Now, the suspects, who were both 18 and 19, traveled from Bucks County, PA, to Manhattan on Saturday, from what the authorities are telling us. And the police said they carried out an ISIS-inspired plot, igniting and hurling explosive devices into the protest crowd that was again outside of the mayor's residence. This is the video that you're seeing in the small box right there. And again, this happened over the weekend. You just heard the mayor addressing that. And again, the situation that we're looking at live, where the chopper is above, police are right now investigating that. We have not been made aware of any correlation between the 2 incidents. But again, just given the proximity, given the location, it's the mayor of New York. We're talking about the police are saying this could be some sort of ISIS-inspired plot. So that's why there's a lot of attention on that. And that's what's going on your screen right now. We're going to say goodbye to you. And we want to let you know next news coming up at 4 o'clock right here on this station in this format to which you're watching us. I'm Antoine Lewis. Thank you so much from all of us here at Fox 5. We'll see you again soon. All right, everybody, welcome back to Newsroom Live. We're just going to stick with this for right now, given the situation. But right now, again, NYPD closing off several areas on Upper East Side due to a suspicious device, East End Avenue between East 85th and East 87th, as well as East 86 between York and East End, are closed to vehicular and pedestrian traffic because of this investigation that's going on. So here's what we can tell you. Around 1 o'clock, reports came into the NYPD of a suspicious device that was found in a park near Gracie Mansion. So authorities and units responded, and apparently they found something that needs to be investigated. They put out the information, and that's what's going on right here. Given the proximity to the mayor's residence officially, as well as what happened outside of the mayor's residence over the weekend, this is why this area is still the subject of such scrutiny, if you will, and on the radar as tight as it is by the NYPD. Over the weekend, in case you didn't know, 2 teenagers traveled from Pennsylvania, Bucks County, PA, according to authorities, where they carried out, police say, an ISIS-inspired terror plot. Authorities say that the two threw into the crowd an IED. It was a crowd of protesters that had gathered outside of the mayor's residence. The mayor was not home at the time. The 2 teenagers were taken into custody, and that's the video that you're looking at in the small box right there. So again, all of this is unfolding. All of this is just, days old. And again, what's happening right now is this investigation that's on the Upper East Side, and that's what's going on there. Trying to get around in that area, if you live there, it's going to be tight because it's closed again to foot traffic. Generally in these situations, you may have to just show your ID. Like if you've just been out running errands and try to get home and be like, wait, why are the streets blocked off? Then here's what's going on with that. If you're just joining us, we actually had a live report from one of our colleagues who was trying to get to work for the 2 o'clock shift, who lives across the street. So that's what's happening with that. So if you're in that area, East 85th between on up to East 87th and East End, and then as well as extending over to York in some degrees there by East 86, then just be aware that this is what's going on. And this is why you may see several choppers above in the area, as well as all the activity on the ground. We have not been made aware of any reports of any evacuations. And again, we know that Carl Schurz Park, which is very popular and likely even more so because of just how warm it is. But again, no one's being allowed in there right now as this investigation is continuing. And if there are any tips, anything that you may have seen or noticed, we ask you to, one, contact the authorities, pass along any information that you can on that with that. And if there's video or you may have seen something, you may want to make sure that you hold on to that. Any information, however big or small, helps police out, in so many ways when they're doing their investigations into whatever that investigation is. So if you see something or saw something, please pass that information on to the authorities. But again, sometime around 1 o'clock, the NYPD received reports of a suspicious device. And that's the investigation that's going on right now. We're going to stay with this. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to Newsroom Live. I'm Antoine Lewis. We just want to quickly update you with what we know so far on our breaking news situation there. Again, police are investigating a suspicious device that was found in a park near Gracie Mansion. There have been several road closures impacting East 85th on up to 87th, extending over to York in some cases, and then as far east as East End Avenue. So if you're traveling in that area, trying to navigate it, that's what's going on there. We have not gotten much more information other than that, but as we say goodbye to you, we're keeping our eye on this, and we'll bring you more information as soon as we get it. Also, as we say goodbye to you, we're keeping our eye on the nation's capital, because at any moment, the White House press briefing is supposed to start. And so we're watching that as well. We're expecting more information, updated information to come out of it in regards to the war with Iraq. And so there's a lot going on, but we have you covered on the platform that you're watching us on right now. You just stick with that, and we'll keep you up to speed on all of that. For all of us here, Jonas Schweitzer, Alex Meyer, we here at Fox 5 on the Upper East Side say goodbye to you. We wish you a great day. Stay safe. Next news is coming up. We keep it right here for these updates, and we'll see you again soon.
Can I get a photo of that? The AP, right?
Double leg Wall Street.
Basically, this is my shot. So when you do it, look for people.
You shoot with your phone, you can't break it. So shoot this with his phone because you can't break it. I'm not in it.
Why is that? I mean, if I did this, he's like, here's what it is.
She's so much nicer than Kate. I swear. She's so much nicer.
afternoon, everyone. Let's begin with some scheduling updates. Tomorrow, President Trump will travel to the great states of Ohio and Kentucky, where he will tout his economic victories and detail the administration-wide efforts to continuing lowering prices to make everyday life more affordable for working Americans. The president will visit Thermo Fisher Scientific in Ohio and give remarks at Verst Logistics in Kentucky. On Thursday, President Trump and the First Lady will host a Women's History Month event in the East Room. And on Friday, the president will sign several executive orders, and we will provide more details on those later this week. As President Trump shared with the American people last night, the United States military is making tremendous strides towards achieving our military objectives for Operation Epic Fury. 10 days in, this campaign has been a resounding success thus far, and America's warriors are winning this important fight at an even faster pace than we anticipated. More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far. Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels, including a major drone carrier ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian Navy has been assessed as combat ineffective. The trend is clear. U.S. combat capabilities are increasing and growing more lethal and dominant by the day, while the Iranian terrorist regime's ability to respond has rapidly declined. Now, the U.S. military is moving to dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile sites. Last night, President Trump reiterated his commitment toward keeping oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz so the United States and all of our allies can receive their energy needs. President Trump will not allow rogue Iranian terrorists to stop the freedom of navigation and the free flow of energy. Let me be clear. It is a good thing to wipe out terrorists who indiscriminately target civilians and attempt to hold the global economy hostage, and President Trump should be commended for doing so. As the president made unequivocally clear to the remaining elements of this terrorist regime in his statement yesterday, if they do anything to stop the flow of oil or goods within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the world's most powerful military 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Moving forward, the stated objectives for Operation Epic Fury remain the same. Destroy the terrorist regime's ballistic missiles, raise their Iranian missile industry to the ground, ensure their terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region, and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. President Trump remains confident these goals will be accomplished in swift fashion. As for the oil, President Trump fully expected the rogue Iranian regime to try and disrupt the global markets. That's why President Trump and his energy team have been planning for this long before the strike and have moved quickly to address these temporary disruptions. Thus far, the Trump administration has offered political risk insurance to tankers operating in the Gulf. The Treasury temporarily waived certain oil-related sanctions, and the Commander-in-Chief has offered the U.S. Navy to escort tankers when necessary. The president and his energy team are closely watching the markets, speaking with industry leaders, and the U.S. military is drawing up additional options following the president's directive to continue keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I will not broadcast what those options look like, but just know the president is not afraid to use them. Rest assured to the American people, the recent increase in oil and gas prices is temporary, and this operation will result in lower gas prices in the long term. Once the national security objectives of Operation Epic Fury are fully achieved, Americans will see oil and gas prices drop rapidly, potentially even lower than they were prior to the start of the operation. And we will live in a world where Iran can no longer threaten the United States or our allies with a nuclear bomb. On another matter here at home, President Trump is urging Congress to pass the Save America Act, one of the most critical pieces of legislation in our nation's history. The Save America Act is overwhelmingly popular with all Americans because each provision is rooted in common sense. The Save America Act has 5 simple requirements as requested by the President of the United States. Number 1, voters have to show ID to cast a ballot in an American election. Very simple. 90% of Americans, including more than 80% of Democrat voters, agree with this. Number 2, the Save America Act will require all voters to show proof of citizenship in order to register to vote in American elections. Again, this is popular and rooted in common sense. Only American citizens have the right to vote in American elections. But after Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country, it's more important than ever to ensure that only American citizens are registering to vote on our nation's voter rolls, and Congress needs to pass this. Number 3, the Save America Act abolishes the incredibly unsecure practice of universal mail-in ballots, which throw the door wide open for fraud. Importantly, the Save America Act maintains exceptions for Americans to use mail-in ballots for illness, disability, military, or travel reasons. The bipartisan 2005 report of the Commission on Federal Election Reform, chaired by, of all people, former President Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker, concluded that, quote, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud, and it is time for Congress to finally address this. Number 4, the Save America Act permanently bans men from competing in women's sports. President Trump signed a landmark executive order upholding the promise of Title IX and ending this dangerous and unfair practice. But now it's time for Congress to codify this into law. Number 5, the Save America Act bans transgender mutilation surgery for children. Again, President Trump signed a common sense executive order to do this and kept his promise to the American people, but now Congress needs to do the same and codify it. It's well past time for Democrats in Congress to stop perpetuating the radical and false claim that you can somehow change a child's sex. You cannot. Passing the Save America Act is the most important thing that Republicans and, frankly, Democrats can do to strengthen election integrity and protect our democracy. It's what the American people elected Republicans to do, and they must deliver on it as soon as possible. The president is calling on Congress to get the job done and send this historic piece of legislation to his desk immediately for signature. So with that today, I will take your questions. Benny, thank you for being here, and why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Caroline. So my first question is actually about the Save America Act. So one of the biggest things that the Democrats are saying, the claims that they're making, is that the Save America Act, it would prevent married women from voting in elections or make it harder for them. What do you have to say to those claims? Is there any validity to them, and where do you think they're getting this from?
There is zero validity to these claims, and I'm glad that you brought them up, because you have the Democrats who have created this myth, and it has been perpetuated, unfortunately, by many in the mainstream media. Let me be very clear. The Save America Act does not prohibit anyone from voting, with the exception of illegal aliens. And the greatest way to disenfranchise American citizens from voting in American elections is to allow illegal aliens to vote, which is what Democrats want to do. We see it taking place in Democrat jurisdictions at the state and local level across this country. So the Save America Act corrects that. And as far as married women who have changed their name, if they're already registered to vote, they're entirely unaffected by the SAVE Act. And for the small fraction of individuals who have changed their name or their address, they can still register to vote, of course. They just have to go through their state processes to update that documentation. And this is something that the American people, married women, and minorities, and people all across this country who Democrats are insultingly saying cannot do this, they're already doing it every day, going to the Social Security office, going to the DMV, and I think it's frankly insulting that the Democrats are saying that there's certain groups of people in this country who aren't smart enough to update their documentation to allow them to vote. Again, this is a huge myth, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address it.
Of course, and then just one more question about DHS. The funding issue has been 3+ weeks now. I was at the airport this morning in St. Louis, Missouri, and it was early in the morning, and one of the TSA agents, I saw her, she was kind of tearing up, she was crying, and I asked her, I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, I can't make my phone payment, I can barely make my car payment that's coming up. I think a lot in the Beltway, there's so much noise between Democrats, Republicans. It's the Democrats' fault, it's the Republicans' fault. But what is the White House's message to the American people that are struggling because they're not getting that paycheck? Take away the politics. What do you have to say to those people?
President Trump wants the Department of Homeland Security. He wants TSA, he wants FEMA, he wants the brave men and women of our United States Coast Guard to receive their paychecks, and he wants this department to be fully funded and fully reopened. And so to any American out there who is struggling without a paycheck, we know there's more than 100,000 of you across the country. To any American out there who is showing up to an airport and facing incredibly long wait times and lines, call your Democrat member of Congress and tell them to fund the Department of Homeland Security. That's what President Trump wants to do, and it's completely ridiculous that the American people are suffering as a result of these partisan games that are being played by Democrats on Capitol Hill. Thank you. Steve.
You said the operation was going faster than anticipated. What is your current timeline for how long the war will last?
So look, as you know, Steve, the president and the U.S. military's initial timeline was about 4 to 6 weeks to achieve the full objectives of Operation Epic Fury. Again, to destroy their missiles and their ability to make them, destroy their Navy, permanently deny them nuclear weapons forever, and to, of course, weaken their evil terrorist proxies in the region. We know that the U.S. military and our brave warfighters are quickly and expeditiously executing these objectives well ahead of schedule, but ultimately the operations will end when the commander-in-chief determines the military objectives have been met, fully realized, and that Iran is in a position of complete and unconditional surrender, whether they say it or not.
Does the president still want Iran's unconditional surrender?
Well, when President Trump says that Iran is in a place of unconditional surrender, he's not claiming the Iranian regime is going to come out and say that themselves. What the president means is that Iran's threats will no longer be backed by a ballistic missile arsenal that protects them from building a nuclear bomb in their country. I could make an empty threat, but if I have no actions to back it up, then it's an empty threat. And so President Trump will determine when Iran is in a place of unconditional surrender, when they no longer pose a credible and direct threat to the United States of America and our allies. Adriana.
Can you explain why the Energy Secretary posted and then appeared to have deleted a post on X saying that the U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, I was made aware of this post. I haven't had a chance to talk to the Energy Secretary about it directly. However, I know the post was taken down pretty quickly, and I can confirm that the U.S. Navy has not escorted a tanker or a vessel at this time, though, of course, that's an option the president has said he will absolutely utilize if and when necessary at the appropriate time.
And if this was something that was posted erroneously, could it be because of a staffer? I guess, will there be any consequences for this? I know you still have to consult, but just generally speaking.
Again, I would defer you to the Department of Energy to answer that question.
And if I could just follow up really quickly.
Sure.
In terms of oil sanctions, the president said that there would be some sanctions that would be lifted. Would those be on Venezuela, Russia? Could you give some specifics there and then timing for that as well?
Sure. I know it's something that the Treasury Department and the president's energy team continue to discuss, and they will ultimately consult with the president before decisions are made. I don't have any announcements on new sanctions or the lifting of new sanctions for you today. Alex.
Thank you. Reuters has reported that about 150 U.S. service members have been injured so far. Can you confirm that number and elaborate on that?
I can't confirm the exact number. I know it's within that ballpark, but I would defer you to the Pentagon for a specific number of wounded or injured thus far.
And then secondly, if I can, I wanted to ask about, there was a briefing on the Capitol Hill today, and some senators came out and said they were more convinced than ever that there would be U.S. boots on the ground. Senator Blumenthal said that, in fact. Your reaction to that and any update on President Trump's thinking about it?
Look, I would say that Democrats on Capitol Hill are clearly being quite disingenuous. 3 years ago, not a single Democrat voted against the resolution condemning Iran as the world's leading state sponsor of terror. Yet now, with President Trump as commander-in-chief finally taking the action that so many Democrats have called on the commander-in-chief to do for many, many years, to wipe out the threat of a rogue Iranian terrorist regime, now all of a sudden Democrats are playing politics with this long-standing bipartisan policy of the United United States. And 53 of them in the House recently voted against the resolution condemning Iran as the world's state sponsor of terror. So I wouldn't take Democrats at their word. As for boots on the ground, the president has talked about this repeatedly. Wisely, he does not rule options out as commander-in-chief. So again, I would hesitate to confirm anything that a Democrat on Capitol Hill says right now about the president's thinking. Garrett.
John, you outlined to Steve the military components of what would be involved in ending this war, but it seems like there's a political component too. The president said to Fox earlier today that he doesn't believe the new Ayatollah can live in peace. He made a variety of comments suggesting that he should be involved in picking the new Iranian leader. Is the ending of this war also contingent on Iran selecting a leader that the president finds acceptable? And if so, how is that not the definition of a regime change war?
Look, as President Trump has blatantly and frankly stated, it's obviously within the best interest of the United States and the West to no longer have a radical terrorist in charge of Iran, especially as we see their reaction to Operation Epic Fury. They had their missiles turned towards our Gulf and Arab partners in the region. Again, this was a regime that chanted, or still chants, death to America. We look at the way that they are holding the entire world hostage with the restricting of the free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. So the president, I think, is making quite an obvious comment. Again, as for the timeline of the military operations with respect to Iran, we have objectives that we have laid out that the commander-in-chief wants to see achieved. When they are achieved, then it will ultimately be up to the president to end this operation.
Okay, so I think you're not exactly addressing my question, though. Is that political objective also necessary for the president to decide to end this war?
Look, again, I just told you the objectives of Operation Epic Fury. When those objectives are met, the president will dictate the end of these operations when he deems that Iran no longer poses a credible threat to the United States of America. And again, it goes back to, what does that unconditional surrender look like? Iran can talk all they want, and their words will be very empty when we've completely annihilated their navy, as we are doing, when we've taken out the threat of their ballistic missile capability, when we can firmly, finally ensure that they can no longer make a nuclear bomb to threaten the United States and our allies and our troops in the region. And that's what President Trump is ultimately seeking to do with respect to this operation. Jennifer.
There was a shooting outside of a synagogue in Baltimore. Do you know if the president has been briefed on that? And do you have any more details on what happened?
I don't, but we certainly will get you more details, Jennifer. And I don't know if the president has briefed, but I'll check on that when I get back to the Oval Office after this. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. The president said yesterday for the first time that he had to strike Iran because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days. And then he bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as though Iran was going to strike in the region first. Again, I addressed this in the last briefing. This was a feeling the president had based on facts provided to him by his top negotiators who had been engaged with the Iranian regime in a good faith effort. The Iranian regime was lying, deceiving the United States of America, clearly trying to continue their nuclear program to create a bomb that would, of course, threaten the United States of America. Again, their ballistic missile arsenal, they were rapidly and aggressively increasing that by the month to a place where they would essentially build immunity for themselves, where a future president or President Trump would not be able to launch this incredibly successful operation. And so the president, again, as I have reiterated and he has said, was not going to sit back and allow the Iranian regime to threaten or to attack the United States of America any longer.
But there are no U.S. leaders or Israeli leaders who are making those same claims. So is he making this up to justify his decision to go to war now?
The president is not making anything up, Nancy. He is looking at this every single day based on intelligence, based on facts, and based on intelligence that he himself and his negotiators have consumed based on their, again, negotiations with the rogue Iranian regime over the past year. And the president and his team tried in a good faith way to reach a diplomatic deal through peaceful means with the Iranian regime. And Iran chose this path to death and destruction. Iran wanted to attack the United States of America, and the president was not going to sit back and allow that to happen. He was not going to sit back and allow that to happen, and everyone in this room should be grateful for it. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions for you. One has to do with a follow-up to your statement that you made at the beginning of the briefing regarding the Save America Act.
Sure.
Yesterday, the Senate Majority Leader John Thune spoke on the effort to potentially have a filibuster broken, the rules for the filibuster broken. He said the votes aren't there, one, to nuke the filibuster, and the votes aren't there for a talking filibuster. He says that's the reality. What's your reaction to what Senator Thune said?
Look, I think President Trump, the urgency behind his need to pass the Save America Act and his desire to get this country-saving legislation passed. He wants all options on the table, and he wants the Senate to move as quickly as possible through whatever means necessary.
And then secondly, just regarding the president's trip tomorrow, looking ahead, why Ohio and why Northern Kentucky?
Well, why not? These are two great states with great Americans.
Just wanted to know why they were chosen.
Great states with great Americans. The president will be joined by lawmakers from both states who he greatly admires and respects and supports. And he'll be meeting with business owners in both of these places and talking about the economy, which is, of course, the utmost importance to him.
Caroline.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Commissioner Richard Worley. Here with me today are Mayor Brandon Scott, Dr. Scalia, Ken Thompson of our consent decree monitoring team, and Council President Zeke Cohen. About 11:52 a.m. this morning, officers received a call for a burglary to 6200 block of Park Heights Avenue. When officers arrived, they were immediately met with gunfire from the suspect firing from inside of a house. Officers took cover. Officers immediately took cover when an officer was struck by gunfire in the leg. A bunker team was put together and extracted the officer and applied a tourniquet and transported him to shock trauma for his injuries. Additionally, a female victim who jumped.
Come on, man. Get the story up. I guess the helicopter.
Both were transported to the hospital. SWAT officers responded to the scene and neutralized the suspect. He was pronounced deceased on the scene. SWAT was able to clear the home and a firearm was recovered. At this time, the Attorney General's office has been notified and our Special Investigations Response Team is investigating this incident. We have activated our critical incident response policy. Health and Wellness Team have been with the officer and are also at the scene. The mayor and I have also visited with the officer. He's doing well. The officer's a 36-year-old veteran of 13 years with the department. At this time, I will turn it over to the wonderful Dr. Scalia, who takes care of us all the time. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Around 12:30, we admitted a Baltimore City police officer with a gunshot wound to the leg. Kudos to his buddy for having the wherewithal to put a tourniquet on him at the scene. I'm happy to say he's awake, he's stable, and currently undergoing evaluation.
Thank you, Dr. Scalia. Again, we're just so thankful that the officer or any other folks in that neighborhood were not severely harmed. Our thoughts are with him and his family and even the family of the deceased. Thankful to our BPD officers for bravely responding in the way that they did today and that they do each and every day and being able to get this situation under control quickly. As the doc said and as the commissioner said, the officer is in great spirits. We had a good time to talk with him. We know his family's going to be here shortly and be with him. We're just very thankful to Dr. Scalia and the team here at Shock Trauma for always taking care of our folks and giving them the best care possible. Thank you. Questions?
We'll start with questions right here. We'll work our way around. We'll do one question per outlet.
So the suspect I know was deceased at the scene. Was he struck by gunfire by another officer, or was it self-inflicted?
No, our sniper officer shot him.
Hey. Sniper.
The person that jumped out of the window, is that the person who was being robbed in the original burglary call?
That is still uncertain. We do know that he was also, after that person jumped out the window, the suspect appeared at the window with a gun to the head of another individual, family member, multiple times before he was shot.
Wow.
Alexa?
So to clarify, there was a woman and another person who had the gun to their head in the house also? Is that what
Yes,
you're
there
saying?
was a second, after the person jumped out the window, the suspect still had a hostage and appeared at the window multiple times with the gun pointed at the young lady's head.
Can you talk about how long that all transpired?
Mickey, thank you. Thank you so much.
It was relatively quick because he was firing on our officers. As soon as our SWAT team got there, was able to take cover, and our SWAT sniper was able to take the shot. He took the shot.
Chris, WBL?
You said that you guys had to activate the critical incident response policy. Can you talk about what that kind of means exactly?
Yeah, it just means with all of our critical incidents, CERT investigates it. It starts the clock for when we release the body-worn camera video, pretty much.
Luke, Baltimore Sun?
Can you confirm the number of officers who were injured again? It was just the one.
Just one, yes, he was shot.
Channel 2?
We saw one of our reporters saw a woman being escorted out of the house, and she apparently had some blood on her. Do we know whether that was the woman who had the gun pointed at her head? Do we know the relationship, if at all, between the gunman and that woman?
We don't know exactly. We know it was a family member. We don't think she was injured at all, but she was taken to the hospital for evaluation.
A family member of the person who jumped out the window, or
a family member of the deceased.
Any last questions?
But the call was a burglary?
Yes, it's a burglary in progress.
How many officers are on standard leave because of, how many officers did leave fired? Just one.
What the hell? Oh.
Folks in their neighborhood were not severely harmed. Our thoughts are with him and his family and even the family of the deceased. Thankful to our BPD officers for bravely responding.
Nothing to see here
today, and that they do each and every day.
Nothing to see here.
Able to get this situation under control quickly. As the doc said and as the commissioner said, the officers in great spirits. We're thankful for them.
It's really horrible audio today. Okay, so what? Both situations. There's this. I think this is still happening to these people trapped in a trench hole. Let me find out about this New York thing.
Route to near hospital. The second one is a little bit more difficult to get to, so we're working with our trench rescue, technical rescue team to extricate that individual. Right now, they're still breathing. We have a number of assets here to support this operation. It will be somewhat of a long-term, more so than a normal fire incident. There are several things, as you can see. We have strategically placed apparatus away from the scene because any kind of vibrations can cause additional challenges and potentially cause additional collapse. We have to make sure that everything around is very secure and have safety teams in place. We initially contacted state police to help us get the GO team. The GO team is with the University of Maryland Shock Trauma. They are doctors and other specialists that can do all the work that can happen in the emergency room setting and operation so that we can have them on the scene in the event that something goes bad. And then the Maryland State Police is helping us to medevac the patients to the closest hospital that's most appropriate to address them. We are working not only with our volunteer and career contingent, but also some of our federal assets, NIH as well as Navy, Walter Reed assets are here with us as well.
Can you set the scene? Can you set the scene? Because I think it's a little difficult for people to understand just kind of where the workers were, how kind of what your first responders are also seeing as they're kind of trying to navigate it.
Yeah. So when we arrived on the scene, again, we were the person that was working with them guided us to where they were. So when you think of it, it's a single-family home, pretty large-style single-family home. When you're facing the home, what the fire service would call would be side delta, which is if you do a clockwise around, if you're facing it, be on the right side. They were digging a trench on the right side of the structure. Something occurred where it trapped them, and that's where we were able to quickly get in, prevent further collapse by shoring up the dirt and putting certain things.
For some reason I can't hear this audio. I don't know if my thing glitched up. Yeah. Just me. Guess it's me. I have to figure it out.
In place so that we could have stability for us to be able to rescue them. Again, the first male victim was easier to extricate, so we were able to extricate him. We transferred them over to medical facilities so that they're getting additional care. The other one had a little bit more, he was stuck a little bit more deeper up past his chest. The good news is there was a void so that he could still expand and do the respiratory process of expansion and inhalation. And right now we're just making sure that we're very methodical with how we start to remove the dirt and debris away from him so that we won't cause a further collapse. We have EMS assets right there, so if something occurs, we can immediately address any kind of medical concern as well. And again, it's just going to be a longer than normal extrication just because we don't want to cause any more damage and have any further collapse for that area.
Chief, is this person conscious and breathing right now?
Yes.
You've made contact, you've been able to talk with
Yes,
this
we're
person?
talking to them. We're limiting that because it takes a little bit more work of him breathing. So, but he has a pulse. He's breathing well. We're just really at this point trying to, as quickly as possible and safely as possible, extricate him out of that ditch.
How wide, how deep is this trench?
I don't have the exact measurements right now. We're really heavy in the operational phase, but it can, 1 cubic feet of dirt can be very hard to expand your breath. So sometimes people would think it's not that deep, but it doesn't have to be that deep to cause challenges. So I don't have the exact measurements at this time, but I can tell you that we have all the assets on scene as we need to extricate him safely.
How far down is he? Could you reach out to him? Could you?
Yes,
he's close enough that you could.
He's close enough that you can grab him, but there's very strategic ways that you approach that. You don't want to have too much movement. You want to have secure and planks and shoring around where the ditch is, so you won't cause additional damage and collapse in the area. So we have to be very methodical because we're bringing additional weight to the scene.
So weird.
Talk to them. The last one is male. So
we had yes. We
and can you say he said like anything? So what kind of debris they have, like rock or just sand? Can you
so it's the normal type of land that you would see here. Sometimes there's clay, rock, things like that, dirt. As it relates to what other broken limbs, etc., that still has to be identified. Some of him is still stuck under the dirt, so we can't really do an assessment, a true assessment. The biggest thing, he's breathing and alert. That's really what we're concerned about right now. And once we extricate him, we can do a very thorough assessment and make sure that we address any concerns and get them to the proper care.
Can you describe the level of dirt?
All right. Well, I can't hear any audio for some reason. I guess I'll have to figure it out after. I don't know what's going on. But as far as New York, let me just see. Let me just try to get a final update on that. Gracie. 2 men. Well, we know about that. 2 men charged. What about today? Here we go. It says Mansion was evacuated for suspicious package found days after IED thrown. Cops responded to the promenade overlooking the water. After clearing the park, okay, the NYPD bomb squad converged on the scene to identify the package to determine if it was filled with explosives. Cops on Saturday recovered 3 homemade bombs from Ibidaham and Amir Balat, who planned to lob the explosives at January 6th rioter and right-wing provocateur Jake Lang. Let me see if the NYPD had anything to say about that. NYPD. Update. Okay, it's been cleared and determined to be non-threatening. No threat. Everybody's paranoid. The New York thing cleared. Cleared. Clear. I'm going to have to figure out after this what happened to my audio. Let me try this real quick. Nah, it's just me. It's just me. Hope this doesn't go bad. This thing here. Anyway, let's wrap this up. We'll figure it out. I'll figure out the audio after. But let me show you something else. Jake. Oh God, Jesus. What are they saying? Text between Alex Rose and myself this morning. Nice fake setup by the Groypers. Listen, the Groypers try to set up Jake Lang. Hold on, bro. I saw this and I had to stop and pause for a second. Pause. Because Senator Blumenthal, he said we seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground. What? Say it again? Oh, I can't hear it.
I emerged from this briefing as dissatisfied and angry, frankly, as I have from any past briefing in my 15 years in the Senate. I am left with more questions than answers, especially about the cost of the war. My questions have been unanswered, and I will
I'm going to assume that's what he's saying, but
the American people deserve to know. And I guess I am most concerned about the threat to American lives of potentially deploying our sons and daughters on the ground in Iran. We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here. And there is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran.
Yeah, homeboy tripping, homeboy crazy. Crazy. The other thing, CNN deletes outrageous post downplaying moment suspected terrorists hurled bombs at Gracie Mansion. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. It was beautiful. But less than an hour, their lives would be drastically changed as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. But less than an hour, their lives would drastically be changed. It's like a sympathy, like we feel bad for them, like how their lives were overturned because they threw bombs at people. Their lives were upended. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers. Why does it look so dirty, too? The guy looks like raspy as hell. What's wrong with him? Is there like dirt on his face? The other thing, check this out real quick, too. Remnants, allegedly, of course, TMZ, Harvey on it. Remnants of a U.S.-made missile were reportedly photographed near an Iran school strike. Now that they're saying they got the evidence. Pieces of the missile. Oh, no. Dayton, Ohio. Made in USA. Oh, Lord. Oh, no. Oh, Lord. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right, guys. I'm going to try to fix this audio thing. I will be around. Like I said, we're going to try to mix up the news, cover the breaking news, and get back into the flow that we've been doing. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Yeah, I'll be following all the breaking stuff and what's going on around. All the breaking live events. The end of the world, Chico. I wonder if I just close. Oh, I know it's not you. I can't hear nothing. How about there? Nothing. I can't hear nothing, and you can't either. Well, you can. I'll probably have to restart the whole computer. But all right, guys, I'll catch you later. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye. Bye.